so we're gonna work on ankle and hip bias squats here. So just understanding the difference between the two. So most of the videos I've shown so far have been more hip bias squats, which are more stable and a good place to start because we wanna put most of our weight in those hips because that's the biggest bucket and that's where we're more stable. So the gluteus maximus, aptly named muscle, big strong muscle. We wanna get that hip hinge, so we wanna be able to kind of seat belt, keep the pelvis back, hinge those hips, push that back. So at that kind of 90-degree mark there, that's a good place to be. I can keep my back nice and straight, good protected position for the back, right? So it's a good place to start for your squat, but you see that's only halfway down, but it's a good place, good supported place for so I can bend the knees here, right? But still, I'm not all the way down to the ground, am I? Okay, but it's a good start, okay? So the rest of the way, I'm gonna put in the knees from there, okay? So, but see, my feet are flat, my heels are down. It's a good foundational thing for squats, okay? Now, the other part here is and the problem with this squat is that it tends to keep you pretty far back. So you tend to tip and your shirt will come untied or untucked, right? Pretty easily. So now we have what a lot of people tend to do naturally, which is going on the toes when they squat and lifting the heels, which allows you to keep your weight more forward, which is kind of nice because it keeps you more balanced in a sense. It keeps you more neutral over your balance point, keeps you from tipping backwards, which is natural in a sense, but you're not flat on your feet. So if you're tight, say in your ankles, it can make you a little tippy, and if you're not coordinated or strong in the soleus muscle here, which is what you're really putting a lot of weight in, that can be a problem also. So older folks can still tip over pretty easy if they attempt that. So be careful, all right? So I've got this chair here, not that I would recommend using a chair. I'd really recommend using the wall like behind me here. It's just you can see me better with the chair, okay? So really use the wall, especially if you're starting out. All right, so I've got my wall here, which I'd really be kind of holding up higher for better support, or over a countertop or something sturdy like that. All right, so we can do this in a wide stance, so side-by-side stance with my feet straight. Think about those tripods, okay? Again, a hip-based, I'm pushing my butt back and hinging, and I'm more kind of dropping back like this. I gotta really work, not only push my hips back, but keep my chest forward and keep myself anchored through my big toes so I don't lift up and tip backwards. Really big concern. So for that one, if you're not sure, you may wanna start over a countertop so that way you know if you start to go back, because you'll be removing yourself from the countertop, so that's a good way to know. But to really keep pressure in your big toes as well as back in your heels so that you don't lift up in there. That should be a red flag that you're losing your balance, okay? Now, the toe one, and I do have stretches for these two, so watch those videos, especially the ankle one if you're attempting the soleus. You also want to do like heel raises and things, especially with knees bent. So that's a good thing to practice. Make sure your knees aren't painful. So I don't know if you can see this or not, but I'm doing heel raises, but with my knees, heels off the ground, and I'm bending my knees so if I keep my knees bent a little bit and I kind of bounce, that way I'm working more the soleus than if I lock my knees and do heel raises, I'm working more the gastroc, which is a muscle up here, which is not gonna be in play when I'm crouching down with my knees bent, okay? Different muscle. All right, so crouching down, I'm trying to stretch into that. So again, some gentle bounces, and I'm keeping my weight balanced, kind of over big toe knuckle, pinky toe knuckle, knees are out. Very important, your kneecaps go out here, not buckling in for balance stability. My hips are still back. So I'm still hinging in those hips and still anchoring back. I still want to think about tripods, but my heels are off the floor. That's the difference. Still kind of anchoring back and working into there and just balance control. But you'll notice probably a lot of fatigue and tightness around in the knees. Your real goal is to get it into the ankles, and that's where you have to maybe do some stretching. Again, featured in another video, so check that out. And practicing both, either going back and forth or single leg bias, which is actually surprisingly kind of easier to an extent because we're just more natural in this way, like with walking. So just, again, make sure it's not painful. Make sure you have control. Good practice for balance. I'm lifting my front heel here if you can't see it. Good to work on all those things. And then you can, when you feel comfortable enough, practice different movements and different patterns.